She didn't like it. She wouldn't have put a ring on it. Hey guys, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey, and this is Rachel, and we're Kelsey and Rachel. Anyway, listen, I wanted to share with our audience basically the cutest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. So we go to the fight, Munguia and Inoue, and Rachel. We aren't seated together, which I thought was weird. But whatever, Golden Boy. Anyway, so she's up there, and whatever. And after the fight, like we're gathering our stuff up, gathering our things up, and then I go up there. Rachel's been making the most precious little notes up there about each of the fights, and these did come in handy. She captured the scorecards, even some looks like you said that Munguia was willing to trade, but gets hit, has poor stamina. And then as far as Inoue, tough fighter, seems to like to brawl. I mean, that's pretty accurate. Rachel's up there, being a little boxing writer, and I thought that was precious. What else did you think? We also watched Jesus Rojas and Zhu Can. That was the co-main event for the regular WBA featherweight title, meaning not the real WBA, but whatever. It was one of the better fights that I've ever seen in person. And already on the short list for Fight of the Year, Rachel wrote, great scrap. Mirror fighters. Zhu, bigger and stronger. I thought that was an interesting point that you made. A lot of people thought that Rojas was going to be, he fought like the bigger guy. He was walking him down. But Zhu Can did seem to me like longer, taller, got more torque on his punches. And I think the judges scored, when I was watching it live and I heard the scores read, they were like 118 to 110, whatever, something. They were pretty wide. I was like, gosh, it seems wide, but we don't want to get in the scorecard thing. But like, okay, in my mind, when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, oh, it's going to go to Rojas because he's the champion. And I thought like, oh, well, anyway, they gave it to, I guess we call him Zhu because he's Chinese and you got to think backwards, right? Like Yao Ming is Yao, not Ming. Kelsey McCarson is, you would refer to me as McCarson. But Zhu Can, you don't refer to him as Can, you refer to him as Zhu.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm not great at that, so if you read some stuff I wrote about him, I'll probably use Can. Anyway, listen. The judges, I think, preferred his harder, they seemed harder punches, and he definitely threw him with a lot more steam on him. And so, yeah, great notes here, Rachel. We also saw Virgil Ortiz Jr. He entered the fight 11-0 with 11 KOs. Left the fight 12-0 with 12 KOs. He's the one I talked to him before the fight, and man, he seems like a killer for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, he seems like a guy who's going to knock a lot of people out, and we were impressed with him. What do you got here?
Just a stoppage that the ref stopped between rounds per doctor's suggestion.
Actually, by this other guy you wrote, outclassed, underline. Sorry, Jesus Valdez, you were outclassed, and he totally was. So I just wanted to share that with our audience because I just thought it was precious. You might not think it's as precious, but you should. Secondarily, Rachel, thought it would float on that way. I feel like on Monday's show, we talked about Keith Thurman, remember? And there's a lot going on in my life when I'm off the camera. Got a lot going on in my life, some personal things, and I feel like I was extra hard on Keith Thurman. And so I think, well, the sentiment of what I said is true-ish. I feel like I was a little harder than I'd like to be on the show. We like Keith Thurman. We love you, Keith Thurman. If you're out there, if you're one of our many subscribers, we love you. And we want to see you be the best you.
Yeah.
I guess what I was trying to communicate is that you've been out of the ring for 2 years. And so there was like a groundswell of what I perceive a groundswell of excitement about his return that Rachel and I did not share. Because you've been out of the ring for 2 years, you did fight Danny Garcia, you fought, who else did he fight? He fought Danny Garcia, he fought Sean Porter. I thought he lost the Sean Porter fight. Both of those fights were razor-thin decisions, and I would want to see Keith Thurman clearly beat both of those. You can say he won both fights. He did win both fights on the cards. That's fine. He did win both fights. But for me to get that excited about Keith Thurman, he needed to somewhat convincingly win those fights against those fighters. I love Sean Porter. I love Danny Garcia. But neither one of those guys, to me, is super elite. What do you think? Do you think I was too hard on our friend Keith? I call him Keith. I'm like, what's up, Keith? And he's like, who are you again? And he's like, why are you in the back of my car? And I'm like, never mind. And I was just wrong. Anyway, go ahead. What do you think?
You're rather intense and passionate, but it had to do with other things going on in your life that day. So then we came up here to talk about Thurman, and that passion and intensity came out with that. So
Yeah.
that's what happens. I mean, for my part, like I said, I've cooled on Keith Thurman.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So I
Heat
feel
us
like,
back up, Keith.
you know, maybe it's a little case of the like, what have you done for me lately, kind of thing. And I need a little more before I jump back on that bandwagon. Yeah. And it's not just the layoff; it's like what happened before the layoff. I'm not seeing like somebody come out and risk everything. I'm seeing somebody fight safe. And I don't want to see a guy fight safe.
I read something about how he said that what he learned from Floyd Mayweather was that he needed to win 7 rounds. Nobody wants to see a fighter just try to win 7 rounds. Like that doesn't like instill passion. And like Manny Pacquiao doesn't try to win 7 rounds. Manny Pacquiao tries to obliterate you.
Right. Like if you want to be Floyd Mayweather, then yeah. Like that's a totally different kind of fighter. Choice. I'm just saying the way that you come up. So Keith Thurman came up with a nickname of one time, and he had knocked people out, and so I had a certain expectation for the type of fighter that he was going to be. And then I was intrigued by his personality out of the ring. And then what I saw, like honestly, like what I saw in his
especially against Danny Garcia. We watched that fight.
Against Danny Garcia was I don't know, somebody like I didn't admire, I didn't like, I didn't find that genuine. I found it like somebody trying to play it safe, and then on camera outside the ring is telling me one thing about the kind of person he is and the kind of fighter he is. Kind of fighter is, not kind of person. And then in the reality doing a completely different thing, and I find that disingenuous, and I don't like it.
And knowing you, like going into that fight, we were both heavily favoring Thurman as far as who we wanted to win the fight, right?
Yeah,
Just from, Keith, there's nothing to not like about Keith Thurman, besides what Rachel just described, which is one set of things, but just how he carries himself outside of the ring. I've never seen anything from Keith Thurman that I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want somebody to see that. And like, as like he's positive. He doesn't, I don't see a lot of nonsense, like with Broner or, even Danny Garcia to an extent. Yeah. I wouldn't put him with Broner, but I'm saying there's levels to this.
I mean, like what I see like from Thurman is even like given that we're being critical here, right? He seems to me like the type of person that would take that with a grain of salt and move on with his life and do the best for him.
Yeah, like he's not. Yeah, he's a. Like, I think one commenter said that he was a decent guy. This is a decent guy. Yeah, I think he is a decent guy. My criticism is more about him as he wants to be an elite professional welterweight. He has one of the better, if not the best, resume at welterweight right now, besides Manny Pacquiao, right? Besides Manny Pacquiao. I mean, of the people that are not 40 years old. And to that fight, I think I said, Pacquiao will destroy Thurman. Okay, that was more of Kelsey, the fan of Manny Pacquiao, saying that. As far as like the odds for that fight, it would be pretty even, I think, because Pacquiao is so much older. He's so much smaller than Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is a good counterpuncher with a lot of power that could give Pacquiao problems. All that being said, I know that if it comes down to it, what I'm saying is, if it comes down to grit and determination, from what I've seen from both fighters, who's going to go get you? Manny Pacquiao's going to go get Keith Thurman, and I haven't seen that necessarily from Thurman against elite level guys. I saw it for him coming up. We went to the fight where he fought Diego Chavez, and Chavez came out and was trying to knock him out, and Keith Thurman knocked him out, and that was a great fight. Yeah. I like seeing that. I want to see more of that from Keith Thurman at the elite level. Don't be afraid to lose a fight. Go out there and win the fight. Yeah. You know how you can go out there and win your life? By liking, commenting, and subscribing to Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel. I can't tell you, like, all over the world, Rachel and I travel, let's say theoretically, and all over the world, theoretically, there are people that are like, hey, it's Kelsey and Rachel from Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel. And many of them are like, Kelsey, why isn't it Real Talk with Rachel and Kelsey? And I'm like, I don't know. Just the way I wrote it down. And then they're like, you chauvinist pig. And I'm like, hold on, people, because we also have a Chelsea at the movies. And Rachel at the movies is Rachel plus Kelsey, Chelsea. Like, just seriously, like, comment, and subscribe. Because, guys, seriously, we do not have enough subscribers. We don't have enough likers and commenters. And our self-worth is diminishing greatly. Each video that goes by, like, every day I'm like, well, guess I'm going to make a video. Or should I just lay here in the corner in a shame cube? So, help us get out of that. I don't want to live inside a shame cube, okay? I've done that too much already. Help us with that.